Guys, it is about 8 on our final night. Chris flies out tomorrow at 11 a.m. My flight is in the evening, like closer to 5 p.m. I don't land at home until 1 in the morning. My family left and they're flying out in the morning too. So we're just chilling, checking in for our flights. Anyway, I wanted to just talk about a few things from the Allure of the Seas that stood out to us, to me, Chris, and to my other travel mates that they mentioned. It was the first cruise for 4 of our people. My brother-in-law's best friend from like junior high school and his wife and 2 kids. They have a 12 and a 5-year-old. They loved the cruise, and on their way home they met a travel agent in the airport. So they're already like wanting to plan the next trip, and we're thinking of going to Europe next year at some point. But as far as the Allure, it's a mega ship. It's the biggest ship I've ever been on. It's the biggest ship in the world. It's in the biggest ship class. So there are a couple sister ships that are the same size. I was actually expecting a different experience than we had. I thought that there would be way bigger venues. The comedy club, for example, only seats about 150 people tops. And I was surprised by that because I thought there would be a really high demand for people to go see the comedy shows. And then the theater, maybe it was bigger than Explorer of the Seas, but to me it looked the same size as the theater there on the Explorer. And I think that by requiring reservations and giving priority access to the venues for people that have made reservations prior to boarding or prior to the start time of a show, that has really helped to regulate the crowd size and also to distribute people across a couple of days that they do the same show. The Monopoly ice skating show in Studio B was really good, I thought, but my sister didn't like the plot line, and it really didn't seem like a Monopoly game. A few times during the show, they had a rolling the dice moment, but it really wasn't a Monopoly game that we would expect. And then later on during the cruise, they had an unscheduled How to Train Your Dragon show, and we didn't see that. They also didn't have reservations available for it, so we only were able to look in as we passed on our way to another show one day. And that looked better produced to me. It looked like they had really awesome costumes. I actually wished that they would have structured that event and made it so I could put it on my schedule. The Royal Caribbean app is in beta right now, so it's not fully developed. I had downloaded it weeks, possibly even months before we boarded the ship, and Chris downloaded it just days prior to embarkation. So once we were on board, I started looking through things and trying to figure out if there was a way for us to communicate with our other group members. And Chris had a chat feature in his app, but I didn't. So I had to go update the app. And then I told my sister and our other travel mates about it, and they downloaded and updated their app so that we could communicate. Well, Royal Caribbean makes it extremely difficult, at least right now. I mean, I know my sister's birthday because she's my sister, but you have to know the person you want to chat with's reservation number, birthday, and I think cabin number. Once you've entered that information, the other person also has to go into their app and put in your reservation number and birthday. And it just seems, they say it's for security, which I understand, but it's way too high of a level of security to block us from being able to communicate. And once I added their cabin information, it opened up the option for them to book reservations for us. So they were able to say like, oh, we want to go to Izumi tonight, I think that's what it's called, and put us down for a specialty dining venue. But I wasn't able to send them a chat message and say, hey, we're in the promenade, meet us here. You know, it just seemed like a really unnecessary barrier that they put up for communication. So since it's in the beta stage, maybe that is going to be changed. But for now, it's too intense. Also, my sister and I ended up linking everything, but Chris and Teth, I wasn't able to talk to Teth. Teth couldn't message me because He's my brother-in-law. I mean, I love him, but I don't know his birthday, honestly. His like year and everything. So it was just too much of a barrier. There are lots of upcharge options as far as venues like a cupcake and ice cream store, a candy shop, which unfortunately I didn't get into to show you, all of the specialty restaurants. It depends on how you enjoy cruising. If you like the upcharge options for things, you have a lot of them. But if you really want an all-inclusive cruising experience, then this is not. I mean, you can just do the things that are included, but yeah, none of us got off the ship for free. So keep that in mind. Chris and I had the beverage package. My sister and the rest of everybody did not. We all were in Central Park View rooms, so we got a bottle of wine and then the free lunch included with our cabins. Chris and I had a conversation about how if we were to do this cruise again, we wouldn't necessarily take a balcony or pay for a balcony if it was an additional fee, because it was too hot to even use. Even at night, it never cooled off. Possibly if we could do an ocean view, I know that my sister also shared this opinion that being able to see the ocean is so nice when you're on a cruise. And you probably will see that I never once during this week on board ever went out and watched a sunrise or a sunset. And that's something I normally do constantly, every single day if I can on a cruise. But we didn't have views of the ocean from our room, and then so many things were happening that I wanted to do and see that just fell to the wayside. Another thing, we all felt like there was a problem with the regulation of temperature on board. They replaced the air filters on our second or third day, and it seemed like they did it in the whole 10th floor that we were on. So each room had like 2 filters outside of it. And after they did that, there was a noticeable change and more comfortable feeling. But that only lasted a few days. And all of us, all 3 of our cabins were unbearably hot at certain times, especially like early in the morning when we were still asleep, like 5 a.m. It was so hot in our rooms, we would wake up and try to turn the thermostat down and like trigger it to turn on, but it wouldn't. And so we were just like sweltering in our cabins to the point where we couldn't go back to sleep. So I don't know if that was a problem or if it's just because so much of the ship has open air integration, like the promenade deck. When you walk outside, it's just sliding glass doors, so there's always a flow of hot, humid air from outside coming in. And maybe if you like hot weather, that'll be for you. But I'm from Seattle, so like 85 is my upper limit of comfort. But we're talking 90. The casino, people are disgusting, okay? The casino is where people can smoke. Also, you could smoke on deck 15 on the left side, port side of the ship. There were designated areas for smoking, but the smell of smoke came up. Like one time we smelled it on deck 10. It was coming up through the stairwell, and it started getting pretty strong because we were taking the stairs down to eat in the main dining room, and it was like really bad. We came out of the elevator once on deck 4 right by the casino, and when we turned the corner, we saw this puff of smoke just like floating out of the casino into the hallway where the elevators were. It was bad. But the reason I say people are disgusting is because there was seemingly a shortage of ashtrays. And so on one of our first couple of days, people were just putting their cigarettes out on the metal barrier of the ledge between the slot machines, where usually, like on Princess, they have an ashtray between each machine because maybe you don't need that many, but people are that lazy. And also, we noticed lots of the slot machine stools with cigarette holes burnt into them. The second time that I was disgusted was when we were leaving the casino on the second to last day. I wish I would have taken a picture of this because not only is it gross, but it's such a fire hazard. It's astonishing that nobody got in trouble for this. So the Purell machines have, like, you put your hand underneath and there's a little tray underneath to catch any overflow. Someone walking out of the casino took their cigarette and put it out in the little reservoir. Hello, this is a alcohol-based liquid that you're gonna put a burning cigarette out in. How stupid can you be? Not only that, but just disgusting and rude and inconsiderate and everything else that I just, anyway, that's not Royal Caribbean's fault, but it's just really blew my mind. Let me think what other main thing we had about the cruise. There was one, oh, on the topic of the casino, the slots were brutal. I mean, I've been to Vegas, this was my 25th cruise. I'm very familiar with the fact that the casinos on cruise ships don't go by the same regulations that land-based casinos do, and the odds are not generally going to be in your favor at any casino, and especially not at sea. Well, these machines were not even attempting to make you feel like you could win. It was just taking your money and no return, no bonus triggers on a lot of the machines. I ended up getting my money back on the last day because I sat in a machine right by the bar and I did a $1.25 bet, and somehow this machine paid me $3.25 on my $1.25 bet. And then back to back, it just kept bonusing. So I got up to $404, which was awesome. But really, it was just breaking even. The entertainment director was hilarious. And one thing I love and appreciate so much about Royal Caribbean is the diversity in the passengers and also in the staff, and the way that they encourage their staff to be unique and be themselves. It's not something I've seen on other ships. Every other cruise line I've been on is very buttoned up, very uniform across the staff, and when you get to know the staff, they have personality, but it's just not shown, and there's not like a flair, and I don't think that they're as encouraged as Royal Caribbean allows theirs to be. So this entertainment director just was a really fun. I think his name was Fabio or Flavio, and if you can cruise with him, I highly recommend it. He was really dismissive of people, like during game shows when someone was a loser, he'd be like, okay, bye Felicia, and he just did not hold back. And then the Quest game show, oh my gosh, I have never on a cruise ship seen a game show where people's bare butts and boobs are out. And they did things like, okay, the first team that has 5 women's bras in their hands for the team captain gets a point. So like women were taking their bras off and flinging them up on stage. It was great. And that was the last night, like 11, or maybe it was the second to last night, but it was toward the end of the cruise. They had a sexiest man in the world contest in the first couple of days. It's something I always look forward to, like the sexy legs competitions and stuff like that, because people just get wild and have a lot of fun, and it's like you kick into vacation mode, you just don't care, you're not going to see these people again. Yeah, it's totally inappropriate a lot of times, but who cares? Well, at the end of that, they said, okay, toward the end of the cruise, we're going to have a similar thing called the Miss Congeniality show, and this will be the women's version of this. It was not. It was not a comparison show. It was so censored. Like the women, I'm sorry, they should have had a wet t-shirt contest at minimum. They're doing a show on the fountain where they had the men go and do wet t-shirt and take their shirts off, shake their butts, and do all these things that we think are stereotypically masculine, like push-ups and push-ups and all that. But they never did anything that would have been like a stereotypical sexy woman thing. And I didn't like that. I wish I hadn't wasted my time at that show. It was so bad. I thought the food was good. The main dining room, every experience I had there was okay. My sister said the first night must have been a fluke because like the steak came out terrible. Sorry, I just got out of the bath. Fort Lauderdale water is yellow, by the way. They have a thing in our hotel that's just like, oh, don't worry, it's organic and it's just extra organic material in the water. It's totally normal. My bath was totally yellow. Anyway, back to the cruise ship. The champagne bar had no servers ever. It was such a good martini bar. Key lime martini blew my mind. It was so bomb. So bomb, okay? Go get one. But you have to go up to the bar. There's no one gonna come around to your table and take your order, ever. And that was a big bar, and it had lots of tables with menus on them, but you had to go up and order your drink there. All in all, I had a really good time on the Allure of the Seas, and I liked the mega ship experience, but it wasn't as drastic of a difference that I was expecting. I actually think that they just added a lot more rooms and streamlined reservations and things like that. And the promenade's awesome. But even on Explorer of the Seas, they had a really good promenade. So the newer ships, even the smaller ones, you get that experience. I would say if you like being able to really schedule your cruise down to the minute, that's a really high perk, I think, for Allure of the Seas and the mega ships. Also, one thing about the app that I hope they'll improve is that you could look through the schedule for the day. They import that schedule long before you actually board the ship. So you could see the daily planner before you even get on board and kind of get an idea of what you want to do each day, which is great. But one thing they don't allow is for you to add, like put a heart on an event or add it to what I want to do today or something where you could look at that. I know Princess has it, and it says, here's the daily schedule and then my events or something like that. So you can see instead of scrolling through the whole schedule every time you want to remember what you were thinking of doing that day. Okay, for a second, I thought I hadn't told you that I met Dawn from Dawn's Family Vacations, but I'm sure I've said it several times. That was seriously a highlight of my cruise. He was sitting right in front of me at the last night late night comedy show, and oh my gosh, I asked him for a picture. He gets up and took a picture with me, which was so kind. And then since he was on the end of the row, people kept coming to walk through and sit in the seats centered there. Well, he had a broken chair, so every time that he would stand up, his chair would like violently slam against the back of the seat. It made a loud noise, and he had a great sense of humor about it. He's just like, all right, well, here we go, every time someone walked in. But it was really funny, and I felt like that was the stars aligning because I did not even see him before we sat down. It was just like he was placed right in front of me. So yeah, that was a highlight. Anyway, we are flying home tomorrow, and it's been another amazing trip. I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to come and to share it with you. We'll see you for our next trip, whatever that may be.